Greetings, pet lovers. Bridget here with First Street Pets, and today we're going to talk about how to find a lost pet that has been missing for a long time. Now, by a long time, I mean more than a couple of weeks, although that term can be relative, because many pets are recovered weeks, months, or even years after they go missing. So if you've viewed our other videos, we talk about steps to take immediately when your dog or cat goes missing, but as some time has passed, there's some additional steps that I'd like to share with you today that will be helpful. The first thing to consider when looking for a pet that has been missing for a longer period of time is, have you had sightings? This is going to determine what your next steps are. Have you had sightings? Are they good? Have they been verified? Are they around the same area? Have you seen your pet yourself, or has someone sent you a picture or a description of the pet that you believe is yours? Or have you had no sightings? Has it just been radio silence and you're wondering what could have happened? If you have not had any sightings, or if you haven't had any recent sightings, one of the steps that you will want to take is to update your posters, flyers, and mailers. And you can check out our other video on that topic that goes into detail about the differences between those three things and how to do them each most effectively. What you'll want to do if you haven't had any recent sightings of your pet is to update those materials. The reason is that people tend to see things that are new. If a poster pops up, they'll see it. They may make a note of it, take a picture. But if the weeks go by or the months go by, they're not going to pay any attention to it anymore. Or if you gave them a flyer a month ago, they probably lost it or thrown it in the trash. So you'll want to go ahead and update those materials. It's a good idea to put "still missing" on those materials, because that will let people know that you are still searching and this isn't just an old flyer. You can put "still searching" as of whatever today's date is, and you can redistribute flyers around your neighborhood or however you did it originally. I would also suggest that at this point, if you haven't already, you look into doing a mailer. And again, that's detailed in our video about posters, flyers, and mailers. You can use Every Door Direct Mail through the post office or another mailing service to get a postcard size flyer out to every home in your neighborhood or in the search area. Now, if you start getting some leads from these materials, you'll want to concentrate your search on that area. Here's an example. This kitty is Zant, and he went missing in my area in Northern California. He was missing for a couple of weeks. His owner didn't have a great amount of sightings. When she updated her flyers, she did get several sightings in the same area, which was not the way that she thought he went. It was a different direction that she would have logically thought. So she took these cards and she just stuck them under people's doormats in the area where she was getting the sightings. And then she was able to get some more information, which ultimately led to her finding her cat. So it's all about getting those leads and following up on them. You will want to be aware of scammers when you are putting out these kinds of materials. And we will be recording another video probably in the next couple of weeks on myths and scams in lost pet recovery. So unfortunately, there are people out there who are trying to get money or who just want to hurt people and claim that they have your pet when they really don't. So be very careful if someone contacts you saying that they have your pet. If they're looking for money, chances are that it's a scam. Ask them to send you a photo. Everyone today has a phone with them that can take pictures. Everyone should be able to take a picture of the pet and send it to you. If they can't, or if they keep bugging you and telling crazy stories about how they found your pet and asking for money, it's probably a scam. Now, if you're getting some sightings, but you can't find your pet, or you're not seeing your pet yourself, or getting any good photos, one of the things you can do is to set up a feeding station. Now, this is something that we will go into detail on in another video. And in the meantime, I will try to find some links to put for you in the comments, because there are some websites out there with this information already on it. So I will try to get that for you today. When you set up a feeding station, the idea is to attract your pet to a place where they can come and hang out and have food and water, and hopefully you will be able to spot them and to get them back home. The problem is that you will probably attract every other animal in the neighborhood as well. Other people's cats, wandering dogs, wildlife like raccoons or possums or other animals that you may not want out in front of your house. This is a good way to attract your pet to your home or to another area where you can safely catch them, but there are some caveats, so just be aware of that. Now, if you want to watch this area when you're not at home, if you're very busy, you're out working every day or whatever, you can set up a security camera. And be sure to check out our video on the use of technology for finding missing pets, because I will be talking with more detail about how to use security cameras and trail cameras to find a missing pet. But the idea of the camera is that you will get a picture or a video of whatever animal comes up and eats the food. So you can point the camera in the general area, or you can have the kind of camera that you can remotely move, so you can sort of pan around the area. You can set them to be motion detected, so they're not wasting battery all the time. You can get a still picture, you can get a video, and that will let you know if you see your pet, you're going to be a lot more encouraged to continue your efforts to try to get him back. Whereas if you don't see any animals, or you just see skunks or some other cat, then you'll know that maybe your pet is not in that area and you need to concentrate your search somewhere else. Now, if you get some sightings, you get some pictures, you see your pet on the security camera, they're being attracted to the feeding station, that's awesome. But now you have to catch them. And unfortunately, some pets, especially if they've been out for a while, have really become skittish, either because they don't know where they are and they're scared and stressed out, or because people have been trying to catch them and chasing after them and trying to grab them. So they will be running away from people, even from the owner. So this is definitely a possibility, especially with cats, but also with dogs. You'll see some dogs that get very skittish and will kind of go wild for a while until they're captured and brought back into the home. So if you have a good idea of where your pet is, but you can't catch him, if he's hiding or running away, the next thing to think about is trapping. The humane trap is a great tool for catching cats, mostly cats, but also for dogs in some cases. This is a tool that you really need to know how to use properly and safely. If you haven't used it before, I highly recommend that you contact a cat rescue or TNR group in your area. If you don't know where any of these groups are, you can try by calling your local shelter, do a Google search for cat rescue in your area, and they should be able to hook you up with one or more volunteers. Generally, I find that cat people are more than willing to help others in this type of situation. So they may even loan you a trap, or if you buy a trap, you can get them on Amazon. You can get them at many feed stores for as low as $20 or $30 for a basic model if you're just going to use it one time. And then when you get your cat back home, you can either hang on to it or you can donate it to the rescue who helped you, so they can use it for their TNR efforts or for helping other people recover a lost cat. So it's very important to set these traps correctly. I'm not going to get into that in detail in this video, but again, if you get somebody to help you hands-on, that will be very helpful. Just a couple things I want to mention. You don't leave these traps unattended. You don't just set them out there and then go home and hope for the best. You want to be monitoring them. Preferably you're there watching. If not, you have a security camera on them and you're watching at all times, because once an animal is in that trap, they are helpless. They can be out in the rain, in 100-degree temperatures. They can fall prey to predators if there are a lot of predators in your area, especially after dark. So you don't just want to put a trap out there and then check it every couple of days. That's not how this works. You really want to preferably be there, or if not, have the trap on camera. If you are experiencing really extreme weather, like in Arizona where it can be 115, or in some of the eastern states where it might be minus 10 degrees, I don't suggest trapping on those days unless there's a time of the day or night where the temperature is milder and you can be there to watch the trap. I do not suggest setting traps in extreme temperatures because the danger is just too great. For an animal trapped in those conditions, even for 15 minutes can be deadly. So just be very careful and plan ahead for your trapping efforts. Now, you also want to have a plan for when you catch your cat. Many people don't think about this. They're so happy to see their lost pet that they just think they're going to pick them up. Well, we all know what cats do when they're frightened. They bite and scratch. So your own cat, even your own very friendly cat, may bite and scratch you and run away again and become even harder to catch if you just try to grab them. So if you have them in a humane trap, you're going to cover the trap with a big bath towel or a sheet or something like that. Preferably just take them home in the trap and then don't open it until you get home. Don't open traps or carriers outside. Don't try to pick up the cat in your arms. That will not go well. It's always a good idea when you find your pet that has been missing for a long time to take them to the veterinarian for a checkup because you don't know what they've been through, what they've been eating, if they've been eating, and if they've lost weight or picked up some kind of an illness. So always a good idea. Take your pet home, let them chill out overnight, and then the next day call your veterinarian to get a checkup. Now, dogs can also be caught in a trap, but this is a little more complicated. As you can imagine, the traps are going to be a lot larger and a lot more expensive. So they're not going to be as accessible for the average person. You're not just going to pick up a trap for a German Shepherd at your local feed store. What I suggest doing, if you know where your dog is, if you have sightings, if you've seen him yourself, if he's running away from people and running wild and being skittish, is to call your local animal control. Services vary across the country, so I don't know what your local agency will be able to do for you, but it's always a good idea to start there. Ask for their help. If they can help you, they will. Sometimes they have those dog traps on hand, and they can set them and help you monitor them or show you how to do it, because that can be really successful. There are also some other homemade traps that dog trappers have made that are pretty amazing, and I will share some links to those in the comments below so you can check that out. Some of these are very complex, so it's probably not something you're going to want to buy or make yourself for one time, but there are volunteers and others out there who have this kind of equipment and who may be able to come out and help you if your dog is proving very difficult to catch. You can always check with your local animal shelters, rescues, or your veterinarian's office to find out if there is anyone in your area who can physically help you find your missing pet. This is super helpful if you're very busy or if you may be disabled or don't have transportation or it's difficult for you to physically do this task yourself. Hopefully you can get someone to help you in your area. There are volunteer teams that do this. Some people work out of the animal shelters and take referrals that way as volunteers. Others actually have a business and are considered pet detectives. Now, this type of service really runs the gamut. I know some of these folks personally, and they're amazing. They do a great job. They help people. They're honest with what they can do for you, and they get results in many cases. Unfortunately, there are also a lot of not so great businesses. Some are downright scams where they will charge you thousands of dollars and not find your pet. They will make promises they can't keep, like they will guarantee to find your pet or that their tracking dogs can pick up a scent a year later. These claims are ridiculous, and that's kind of a clue that this is a scam. Still, others actually mean well. They don't intend to scam people, but they're just not competent. They don't have the right training. Their tracking dogs are not well trained or handled. And so even though they may mean well, they will still take your money and it's not going to help you. So there's nothing wrong with hiring a legitimate pet detective, but definitely do your homework. Be aware of the legal requirements for a pet detective. In many states, they have to have a private investigator's license. Sounds crazy, but that's the law. And of course, they should also have a business license and other things in place that a legitimate business would have. You can also check their reviews, get referrals, look on Yelp. Every business will have 1 or 2 bad reviews from an unsatisfied customer. But if there's a lot of bad reviews or a lot of the same thing that's concerning, then you may want to continue looking. But again, if you do decide to spend money, the legitimate companies, they're not cheap. But if you find someone who can help you, it may really be worth the money. But just understand there's never a guarantee. No matter how good someone is, no matter how much you pay, no one can guarantee to find your pet. If your pet has been missing for a long time, you will want to continue to check the animal shelter. As I said in the video of the steps you need to take immediately when your pet goes missing, you need to be down there physically checking the shelter, if at all possible, and as often as possible. Hold periods can be as short as 72 hours. So in 72 hours, your pet could go up for adoption, could be transferred to a rescue group, or could be put down. One of the issues with rescue groups, I'm not saying anything bad about rescue groups. I've worked with many, many, many that are amazing and do wonderful things and help the shelters save lives and help people in the public. But unfortunately, some rescues, when they get these animals from the shelter, I've seen it in the news too many times, where the owner comes forward and tries to get their pet back, that they either didn't know their pet was at the shelter, or they were sick or in the hospital or out of the country. Now they're trying to get their pet back. Sometimes the rescues won't give them back. So this is one of the hurdles that you may face, and I certainly hope that you do not, but just be aware of that. The laws in the United States do not protect pet owners. Those very short hold periods are all you have to get your pet back. But still, I don't want that to discourage you. I just want that to keep you looking as often as possible, checking those websites, checking the Facebook pages of the shelters and rescues. You're also going to want to expand your search from your local shelter to some more in the regions around you. Because again, the pet may have been transferred to another shelter or to, say, a Humane Society type shelter that only does adoptions and doesn't take in strays, but now they have your pet because they're up for adoption. So this is another possibility. Check the adoption listings on the rescue groups. Some of the reasons that you may find your pet after a long time at the shelter when they didn't turn up there right away is that someone may have found your pet and kept it. Whether they were looking for you and just didn't know how to find you, or because they intended to keep the pet because they assumed it was abandoned or unwanted, and then for some reason they can't keep it. Maybe they're moving, maybe it doesn't get along with their other animals, and so now they're bringing the pet to the shelter. I've seen this happen many times where it's weeks or even months later where they then bring the pet to the shelter and then they scan for a microchip and they find out that it's registered, or it matches a lost report. But again, you need to keep checking this because you can't count on the shelter staff and volunteers to be able to check every lost report back for months and months. They get hundreds of lost reports, and even those with really good teams doing this are not going to be able to keep track of every single case that crosses their desk. I also suggest checking pet adoption websites like Petfinder, which connects you with all the shelters and rescue groups in the country. You just type in some criteria like the area where you're searching, the type of pet, and all these animals will come up. Sometimes people do find their pet that way because they are currently up for adoption and maybe at a different location. If you watch the movie Mine about Hurricane Katrina, you will see that many of those owners were reunited with their pet months and even years later through Petfinder, from finding their pet on an adoption site and using that to get in touch with the agency or person who currently has their pet. Last but not least, keep your microchip registered. This is Mary Margaret. She's as angry as she looks. I've had her since she was 5 weeks old, and she has always hated people and other cats, but she loves dogs. Go figure. Well, where I lived before, I lived on a large ranch, so my cats could go outside. When I moved, I had to bring them in the house because now I live in a downtown situation with lots of traffic, so that's not possible here. When I went to move, I could not catch Mary Margaret. I couldn't get her in a trap. I couldn't trick her to going in the bathroom and getting her with a towel like I do when I have to take her to the vet. She was not having it. She knew something was up. She disappeared and she would not let me catch her. Now, I lived on a ranch with a number of other people and a number of other outdoor cats. So they agreed to continue feeding her until such time as she could be caught. So I kept her microchip updated and I waited for that call. And 3 years later, I got the call. They'd finally managed to trap her, took her to the shelter. They scanned the chip and I came down and picked her up. She was as mad as ever, but now she's sitting right here next to me. I don't dare pick her up to get her in the frame. And I was able to get her back home 3 years later. So I highly recommend that no matter how much time has passed, if it's been 6 months, a year, 5 years, keep that chip updated because you never know when you'll get that call. Just do a Google search in the news for stories of pets being reunited years later thanks to the microchip. So no matter what happens, even if you give up your search, keep that microchip registered. The internet will help you to recover a pet that has been missing for a long time. Now we're going to do another video, actually I'll be recording it today, so it should be currently available, on the use of technology to find a lost pet. So be sure to check that one out as well. But in brief, there are a few things you can do on the internet that may help you. One is creating a Facebook page for your missing pet. And you'll see that a lot of people have done this with success. You can create a Facebook page. It's free. You can invite all your friends, invite any rescue contacts or shelter contacts you have. And that will keep a lot of eyes on your search. It will also keep your search current so people know you are still looking. It's a place where people can post sightings, they can post pictures, they can share any ideas they may have with you, or you can ask for help if you want someone to help you looking in a certain area, or with printing flyers, or with the trapping as we discussed. It's a good way to sort of create a community and rally some friends around your search. I have seen this to be very successful as long as you are clear about what you want people to do. Just like with your signs, you will want to tell people you don't want them to chase your pet, you don't want them to try to grab or catch your pet. So be very specific about how you want people to help you. If they have a sighting, they should give you a call or a text and have a number that they can reach you at 24 hours a day. You can also create a special email for your missing pet sightings. Rather than flooding your email box with more emails, if you have a personal email or a business email that's already very busy, you can just create another free email on Gmail or AOL or whatever you use. Generally, they'll let you create a number of different accounts at no additional charge. So that's something else you can do if you want to put that on all your materials and don't want to be getting a ton of emails and potentially more spam to your personal or work emails. To wrap it up for today, I want to say that only you can decide when it's the right time to stop searching. Like everything else in life, you will find that people will be very judgmental. Even people who care about you, your friends, your family, at some point they're going to tell you it's just a dog, it's just a cat. Why are you still looking? Why are you doing this? Nobody has the right to judge you. Only you know when it's right to stop looking. And if you want to spend a lot of money on this, if you want to hire a pet detective, print hundreds of flyers, get on the nightly news, whatever you want to do, that's right for you. And nobody else can tell you how you should do this. On the other hand, if you feel like it's time to give up, even though I encourage you not to, that's also your decision. At some point, if months have gone by and you're just feeling so much anxiety from this constant looking that for your mental health, you have to stop, then that is also your decision. And no one can judge you for that. So very important for you to know that it's up to you how long or how short of a time you want to look. Just as I said, keep that microchip registered if your pet is chipped, and hopefully you will get that call. I hope these tips have been helpful for you, and I really hope that if your pet is still missing, you will have him back home with you soon. If you have any thoughts about this, if you have any experiences in this area, something that has worked for you or not worked for you, please post it in the comments. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We will upload content about lost pet recovery, pet business, pet care, and other important topics every week.